Welcome to Dark Sorcery. I'm Alfredo Martinez, and I have with me once again Anton and Paolo Del Pre. Hey guys, good to have you back on, the three of us.
Hell yeah, the boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. Call it Belial and Dark Sorcery. You know how we do it. Yep. But anyway, today's topic is finding your spiritual path. I think that's it can be pretty fundamental in retrospect, but I think that it's something that people often overlook because I think sometimes people kind of either rely on too much information or kind of second guess themselves. What do you think? Like too much of one person's opinion, you know what I mean?
I feel that everyone's path is individual and special to their own gnosis. So it's good to take in information from others with a grain of salt or things that you resonate with and research, of course. But the things you'll get from the spirits and your higher self and your own path is going to be usually unique to you.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I think that especially with the age of the internet, we have so much information just readily available to us. And I think oftentimes people can get overloaded by that. There's so many different traditions and paths and different kinds of spiritualities. Like Eastern traditions are going to differ way different than Western traditions, especially the ones that we have today. There is some crossover from tradition to tradition. But it can be something that starting out can be very confusing at first. I think as time goes on, though, like you find something you like and you find something that works. What works for me might not work for the next person.
Right. And also the fact that, this is the information age, and it's easy to just go all these different rabbit holes and get confused because there's also misinformation out there. And I think that's where looking within really comes in handy, so that you can kind of sort out the BS from what's valid. You guys agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one thing that people can do if they don't know where to start is they could just ask their higher self for guidance. Your higher self, it's there. If you just, anytime you want to, it's waiting for you to ask it for help. It's waiting. Or you can just go ahead and ask the universe to, send you a teacher or a mentor, and one will come along. If you don't know how to sort through all the different information, because there's a lot of experienced people out there that, can teach you. I myself have gone through that phase as well. Teachers, come and go and help you find your path. And I'm grateful to them for, where I'm at today.
I absolutely agree, man. I know for some traditions, like specifically like left-hand path stuff, it's harder to find a teacher for that stuff, just because we're used to dealing with infernals and things of that nature, working through the Cliffith. The unfortunate reality is that tradition, those aspects, those spirits, there's still a little bit of taboo behind them. People, there's this fear that I feel sometimes that when you talk about it with other people, just because they don't know or they haven't experienced anything of that nature, there's fear behind it. So finding a teacher that is open and willing to talk about stuff like that can be difficult. I think one thing that I recommend for people when they want to enhance their spirituality and they're starting, a new spiritual awakening of sorts, just whatever you like, dude, just start reading more of it. Just start looking for more of that. I know people that are super into yoga and hanging out in yogi communes, which is something that is totally not for me. You know, I don't want to do anything like that, but
Yeah.
It works for them, you know? And I think as long as you are doing something to enhance your spiritual life, it's totally acceptable, you know? I think that there are even some people that I run into that want to start with, they want to jump right into like evoking and invoking spirits. I'm like, we need to calm down for a second here, and you really need to take a look at yourself, especially if you've never meditated before, and ask yourself if you're prepared for stuff like this, because it can cause some very chaotic changes, you know?
Yeah.
I think left-hand path stuff, if we're being honest here, it's not for everybody, you know, and that's perfectly fine.
No, it's not. What do you think, Anton?
I agree with both points, absolutely, 100%. Even like just talking to people online, you know, is a great way to communicate, share information, and learn from one another. You know, that's how I pretty much started. I went on Facebook, started joining a bunch of groups, Dark Sorcery itself, and started learning from everyone I interacted with, especially you guys. And that took me a long way, you know, it taught me a lot of spell work knowledge, spirit research, communicating with spirits, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, and I think that some people have this misperception where they think that there's, instead of taking action, they think there's some advantage in waiting. You know, that I think that if someone wants to do something, it's best just to jump into it and just start somewhere. And just, even if you fail or you fall on your ass, you know, you already know 10 times as much as the others who are just waiting for something to happen. You know, you have a better perspective. And just jump into it and do it, you know, whether that's, you know, reading a book or even just, you know, looking even on YouTube. There is a lot of good information out there. I will say this, that there is an advantage in the information age, whereas, like, you know, I remember before the internet, you know, we had to go to the library, different bookstores, read different books. Now, I'll say that helped me there's an advantage to that, because when you read a lot of books, it expands your vocabulary, and it allows you to be good at finding the best information right away. You can watch videos online, and that's cool. And for some people that works, you know what I mean? But I've been, you know, because of my background and as old as I am, you know, I'm used to just reading books and expanding my vocabulary and learning that way. But I've also found advantages in there's some really good online teachers. I mean, there's some really good stuff on YouTube, you know, or, you know, Rumble or Odyssey or whatever social media platform you want to look at. That can be just as beneficial as reading a book, you know, and I think that some people who are used to reading books and they're older, like, I think sometimes they miss out where they kind of don't give the internet, you know, more credit than it's worth, you know, and kind of just, well, I read books, so I'm better, you know, and that's all just, you know, not really information I can find that's beneficial, but they're wrong. You know, I think that you should give both sides the benefit of the doubt.
100%. You brought up something interesting. You know, you said if you have an interest in something, you should jump right into it instead of waiting, even if you fail. Now, I'm sure this is true for all three of us here. I had to fail a lot, and it was almost like falling upwards. You know, I had to fail a lot and learn from my mistakes in order to get to where I'm at, dude. And I think part of why I love doing this, making videos, being online, and sharing what works for me, what helps me, is because, like, I've made a lot of mistakes already, so that you don't have to. You know, if anybody wants to learn from my mistakes, please. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. And another thing too that you brought up, with the information age is there are a lot of good teachers online. I'll even go as far as saying there are people that I don't like personality-wise that when they talk, I'm like, well, this person knows what they're talking about. So it's this level of respect you got to have for some people, you know? And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum. There are people who are talking just to talk, unfortunately. I think when you are, this is some advice going forward, when you're looking for people to learn from, especially in online spaces, trust your intuition first and foremost, and secondly, look at what they're producing. Look at the fruits of their labor. Right? Are they practicing what they preach? Are they actually doing any kind of relevant work, or are they making up fantastical stories to appear to look like, you know, they know what they're talking about? Because some people online are just trying to sell you something, you know?
So much of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So much of it. Yeah. What do you think, Anton, about that?
I agree with both. A lot of people seem to project as well with their work, it seems. You know, they'll leak their inner shadow outwards and try to escape their own traumas, mistakes, flaws, past, etc., and create stories, etc., perhaps warp their own perception through this, so on and so forth. But it's pretty easy to discern that from real knowledge and results at the same time. And you can also feel when occultists are about it, you know what I mean? They've done their shadow work, they've gone through trials and tribulations, made mistakes, learned from their mistakes. You know, they've walked through hell quite literally and spiritually. And it's in their aura, with how they speak, how they move, how they talk, those sorts of things. But with learning from mistakes, we can share our mistakes, but other people may make mistakes that are either unique or they just won't learn unless they sort of get burnt first.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you know, and I believe that experience is the best teacher. I mean, in a lot of cases, you can learn from, like, you know, like Paulo, like you brought up, where, you know, I made mistakes so that you don't have to. And that definitely is very true. But yeah, Anton, you're right, where there's some things that people have to learn on their own. You know, not everybody, but just some people. And maybe they're you know, incarnated on this earth, you know, for that reason, to learn that lesson a certain way, you know. So I definitely agree with that. And one thing you can do is, if you're used to, well, first of all, I will say this, is that if you're very spiritually in tune, you'll be able to pick up on bullshit, you know, more than people who are not. I mean, you can just, if you're spiritually, you know, doing what you feel that you should be doing, you'll be able to pick up on the vibes. You know, not only just you can see it, but you can just feel that something is off. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's just feel, even just similar to feeling like, you know, when there's a spirit enters the room, you can just feel it. Or when you're doing a ritual and you're calling on a spirit and the spirit enters the room, you can feel the shift in energy. You can feel an energetic shift if someone is full of bullshit, you know, a lot of the times, you know, whereas people who are maybe newbies or people who, you know, are kind of new to the path, they won't pick up on that as much. You guys agree with that?
100%, brother. 100%.
Absolutely.
I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
It slipped your mind. It happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. But you know, one thing you can do though is, I will advise people who are watching this that if you're unsure of your spiritual path, one thing you can do, I would say, is get good at divination. Get really good at divination. Now, people use different kinds of divination, whether it's tarot, whether it's bone readings, or whatever type of divination you use. Get very good at it, because if you're not sure where to turn, you can just do divination, ask a question, and you'll get an answer. You can even just, it could be as simple as just picking up a tarot deck. The thing is, with the tarot, is that it knows what you're going to ask before you ask it. So that's why sometimes certain cards just pop out and there's your answer. But you can ask them. You can also meditate on the question. One thing I'd recommend is you can light certain incense, like maybe sandalwood, and just kind of meditate on it. You can get certain crystals, like say amethyst or bloodstone. You can carry those around, and those will help you with your intuition in, trying to figure things out. Or you can meditate while holding those crystals and on the question, and then it'll come to you.
I have another suggestion too for people unsure about their spiritual path. Look to your bloodline, right? So like, if you are from the South, they have hoodoo and voodoo down there. That if that resonates with your bloodline, or if you have family members or people, you could start talking to people in those traditions. If you are European and you have Norse blood, you could look for Norse spirituality. If you are Jewish, you can look to Jewish mysticism. I find myself leaning a lot on Hermetic Kabbalah. It's just something that clicks with me. It is very structured, and I like it a lot. I like everything about it, and you can go really, really, really deep with it. I feel like I just scratch the surface sometimes when I'm doing different path workings or invoking different spheres for different reasons. But there's so many different traditions around the world, dude, and oftentimes our bloodline can point us to the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I feel that, through your ancestors, like as the DNA is passed on, their experiences are passed on through your DNA, and certain talents and abilities can be passed on through DNA. And then you can just go ahead and reawaken, rediscover those, and, you'll find a great influx of power with that. What do you think, Anton?
Absolutely. Usually practitioners have ancestors who were practitioners as well. So when they develop to the level where they can communicate efficiently or get information, they can learn techniques that are sort of unknown and passed down to their family bloodline. And that goes into unlocking, certain abilities that are within that certain bloodline as well. And not everyone has exactly normal blood or DNA, if that makes sense. Some people have hybrid DNA, Nephilimic, Anunnakian, reptilian, stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, would you agree that Rh negative blood has something to do with that type of blood that you're speaking of, which some people carry in the other population?
Absolutely. I was actually researching that, I think 3 years ago now, and I believe it's when the woman has Rh negative blood and the male doesn't. When she tries to conceive a child, the white blood cells in her body will recognize the pregnancy as a foreign alien and actually try to attack it. That's why a lot of them have miscarriages and they struggle to have a child. So like that, in a scientific way, can be recognized as that specific blood type being not human or sort of considered an alien.
Yeah, and I've found through similar research, I've found the same thing to be true with twins. I mean, I'm not a twin, even though twins run in my family, but I know that they kind of have some kind of unique psychic link to each other. They feel what each other feels sometimes. Sometimes they'll be separated at birth, and they end up having similar lifestyles, you know, as adults when they meet up. You know, if any of you have a twin out there, ask them. You know what I mean? I'm sure they'll be able to give you some very beneficial input to what you're dwelling on.
Absolutely, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel that sometimes also that I think sometimes people can get confused on finding their path because society in general, mainstream society, is designed to distract you from the truth. It's designed to be, everything is a distraction. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, there's nothing wrong with music and movies and entertainment. It's all good. I love entertainment. I love watching movies, you know. But I know that sometimes a lot of that's put out there to distract the population. They want you to be occupied with so much work. They want you to be distracted with, you know, all these different movie and show options, video games, sports, crazy amount of sports that there is. But I mean, like I said, I like to partake in all that. But just keep in mind that society in general is designed to distract you from the truth. That's also why you have, I think it's chlorine or what's in the drinking water that you know, distracts you from your your fluoride that distracts you from your it's supposed to from your third eye and stuff like that. So it is nice to take time to unplug from everything at times and just look within. Just take some time to try to train yourself to quiet your mind from all the noise that's out there, because keep in mind that most of it's negative, and it's supposed to be negative for a reason, because the biggest distraction of finding the truth is fear. And that's what this society is designed to instill in you through the news and through everything. What do you guys think?
I agree 100%. You know, going back to the sports stuff in ancient Rome, I think it's the emperor that was the title, or the king.
Mm-hmm.
They would hold these Coliseum fights when the masses were getting outraged with things or unpleased with things, and they feared an overthrow. So they would hold these shows, these Coliseum fights, to simply have the masses drink wine, get distracted, and forget all of these issues going on within Rome. And that can be seen throughout the world with multiple things, you know, like you said, movies, fashion, all these sorts of things. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Paulo?
I agree. I'd go as far as saying that some people are so used to like the way the world wants them to submit to a certain lifestyle. Some people are so comfortable with that they don't want to know the truth. You know, that is my experience with a large majority of the population. You know, especially going out in public, you can just see it. You can just tell people are just chasing desires. They're chasing the carrot on the stick, and they're happy. They find that somehow fulfilling, you know. And I think for people looking for a spiritual path, they want something more, and they know that there's something more, you know.
Yeah, you know, I think that I'm paraphrasing, but I think one emperor said, give them sports and entertainment and they won't revolt. You know, I mean, you just keep people, and keep in mind that society, the way it is, it can be fun, but it's designed to keep you in a low vibrational state. Everything is everything is designed to keep you in a low vibrational state, you know. And I think that now one thing that helped me is when I started this path, I had a very hard time unplugging from the distractions because I liked, you know, watching a lot of movies. I liked being into music a lot. I liked all this different stuff, you know, sports and all that. So for me to try to take time to quiet my mind and look within it took some discipline. But one thing that really helped me out is I decided, okay, let me just start by reading books. So I would go out, find a book I thought would help me spiritually, and I would read it. I wouldn't read a whole lot at once. So what I started doing is I said, okay, I'm going to read 10 pages a day. I can do whatever I want for the rest of the day. You know, when I'm done with work, just 10 pages a day of a book. So I started doing that, you know, watching movies, whatever. Okay. Read my 10 pages. Okay. Read my 10 pages. Okay. So even if you just do that, that is a book a month, 12 books a year. Now, 1 year later, you'll be so much more disciplined and intelligent. You'll want to spend a little more time reading, you know what I mean? And a little more time maybe meditating or, you know, dwelling spiritually. And through that systematic approach, I was able to pull myself out of being comfortable and get into the rhythm of things. Now, you know, from time to time, I have gotten a little more comfortable than I should, and I had to discipline myself again. But for someone starting out, that's a good piece of advice that you could do to start out with.
I think I'm going to take that advice, dude, because I just bought, well, I didn't buy it, my girlfriend bought it for me. Agapa's 3 books on occult philosophy. It's a fucking huge book, dude, but it's so packed full of just awesome shit, dude. Great book. If anybody wants to fucking get confused like me and try to read this book, please do, and then help me out.
I feel you, man. I've read some books that are maybe that thick, you know what I mean? Some occult books, and I'm like, you don't want to just take time out of your entertainment and just read a whole big chunk of it. Just start out with this little small portions is better than nothing at all for the day. Especially once you'll enjoy your entertainment better because you're like, oh, I feel accomplished now. I can watch this movie with a clear conscience, or I can, you know, binge watch whatever with a clear conscience, or do whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the good thing about this book is like it's pretty digestible the way that it's formatted. Like he'll say like of fucking, you know, the zodiac, or of numbers and their meaning and their uses, or of symbols, and it's only like a couple pages, and then he explains the theory behind it, and then gives the fucking the zodiac. I was just reading he was describing, I think it was the fixed signs, and I was reading about stars I'd never heard of before, and I was like, this is good shit, dude. This is really good shit.
You know what? I think that I can already tell it's a good book because the subconscious mind speaks in symbols. You know, so automatically that could be a shortcut to learning certain things for a lot of people. Yeah, definitely. But Anton, is there anything like what helped you out when you were first starting out to get into the rhythm of things?
For me, the only distractions I really had was lust. Just a little bit of an issue.
Okay. Hey, we're guys, you know.
That's it, man. That's it.
Enough said.
Indulgences, whether it be food, cigarettes, alcohol, things of that nature, procrastination, you know, sloth, those sorts of sins. And I've had to find a way to channel certain things to break these things and get disciplined. And that was meditating for 10 minutes a day, whether it be on a chakra, grounding, invocation, whatever it was, as long as it was 10 minutes a day. And eventually I got to a point where I'd sit and meditate for an hour almost every day for some period of time. And it would end up feeling like 10 minutes. So that would help me sort of break through those sorts of distractions, and also increase my psychic awareness at the same time.
Yeah, I think that that's having a systematic approach to anything. There is no obstacle you cannot overcome. especially I'll bring up the point again with me reading 10 pages a day, is that, the Japanese have a saying that goes, it is better to understand a little than to misunderstand a lot. So if you try to absorb a lot of information at once, whether it be through a book or even just watching a video or just doing whatever spiritual practice, if you try to do it just a lot at once, it's taking small portions, absorb that, taking another small portion, absorb that, then you'll have absorbed the big portion that you wanted to, and just eat that, little, eat those vegetables basically before you can eat a steak, if you want to put it into, those kind of terms. But
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
yeah. So, also if you're used to working with certain deities, you can just go ahead and ask them for help. If there's deities that you're close with and working with and you trust them, just ask them, and if you're having a hard time with hearing them and what they say, you can do something simple. Just get a spirit board, put it right in front of their altar, ask them. They'll move the spirit board. If some people have a hard time with, their intuition or hearing, you can use that method and get started that way. Or you can just ask them that way. How can I get help more with hearing what you have to say? And, even if it's automatic writing or using a spirit board, there's always a way around something, I think. Always. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I know I do that often. Usually when I hit like a roadblock or I don't know where to take my practice, I'm like, what do? I'll just sit down in ritual. I'll talk to my patron, Azazel. I'm like, what should I do? And oftentimes, he's got some pretty good suggestions. I think most recently, he just wanted me to spend more time in front of his altar. Just focus on him and that energy. Connect more, which is something that I find myself, especially like nowadays when I'm really, really busy, I don't have a whole lot of time for it. But even like 5-10 minutes a day is better than nothing.
Yeah, I think, a lot of us are very occupied with work, with family, that most of us don't have a lot of time for this stuff, so yeah, just a little bit, take time out a little bit of the day, and the spirit world will give you time and allow you increase your time. They will increase your time so that you'll be able to do more and absorb more, because they know your higher self and your patron spirits know your situation, but it's up to you to speak out for the help, and they can rearrange your schedule so that you will have more time for what's most important, and not just paying bills. That's important, but that's not the most important. The most important is working on your spirituality and growing and ascending and becoming better. That's what's most important, but you have to speak out and closed mouths don't get fed, like the saying goes. What do you think, Anton?
Absolutely. I agree 100%. If you want to change your life, change your future, because the future is never in stone, it's always fluid. We can change it at any moment in our lives. We have to be willing to make the effort and make the time to do these things, but also if our circumstances won't allow us, that's when we go to different sorts of means, and to go to the spirits for help. And with communicating with spirits, some people, based on their spiritual blueprint, may not be able to have clairaudient experiences. Sometimes they can only communicate via energy. So if you want to communicate with a spirit and you're very sensitive to energy, especially emotions, a negative sort of feeling from them would probably be a no, and a positive would probably be a yes. You could probably feel it.
Yeah, definitely. And for those who are watching this who are new, and don't have a lot of experience with clairaudience or, building up, being able to tell bullshit, is that just think of it this way. We've had experiences with ex-girlfriends where we know they're cheating, but they tell you they're not. They tell you that, oh, I wasn't there at that time. I never messed with that person, but you can feel it. You can always feel that something's off. So just go with, like what Anton just said, go with your gut feeling, and you can just start from there. It's especially, another thing that's important is chakra work. I know that, from time to time, there's been times when I've slacked off and not, tried to realign my chakras. And there's times when I need to discipline myself and do that. But if you're doing chakra work, you'll be able to tell bullshit more often than not, because if you don't have a blocked chakra, everything's, things will come to you. You'll be able to see the truth better. You'll be able to make better decisions. You'll be able to be pointed in direction better. It can, I just had a video the other week with Kenneth, and he gave some really good information of we were talking about, every time you see Buddha, he's meditating under a tree. That's a very good strategy. You know what I mean? Something simple as that. You'd be surprised what would come to your mind from that. What do you guys think about that?
The only thing that comes to mind for that is you could think, I get the imagery of having the tree as like an antenna, so it could help you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it could help you just download information easier, quicker, faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes to my mind. I like Kenneth. I've spoken to him a couple times. He's done some readings for me. I like him.
Yeah. Also, the fact that everybody's born under a different sign, and they all have their own, astrological blueprint as well. So not everybody is going to learn the same. Not everybody is going to pick up on information the same. Not everyone is going to practice the same. Not everyone is going to have the same divination, because each sign has its own advantages, because they emanate with different types of energy. If you're a certain sign, ask another person that's that certain sign, that's the same sign as you. What works for you? You talked about, Paulo, you mentioned about look at your ancestry, and there's a big connection with that, but there's also a connection with someone else who shares the same sign as you. You just say what works for them. They'll tell you, well, I did this. Go ahead and try it, because chances are it probably will work for you, because you two even kind of have the same type of energy in a way flowing through you.
Yeah, I have to agree. There have been times in my life looking back that coming across the same sign where you just have crazy shared experiences.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, it's that's been an interesting chat. Just wanted to talk a bit about finding your spiritual path. Those of you who are watching, hopefully the suggestions that we gave you will help you. If you want to, go ahead and check out Cult of Belial. The links in the video description. Check out all their stuff, their YouTube channel, their Instagram page. You guys recently have a book now. Go ahead and speak a little bit on that.
Ooh, Anton.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let Anton talk. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right.
Cult of Belial now has a book that and check it out, guys. You guys are gonna get something good out of it. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Been working on this for a long time, all year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and it's finally here, dude. This is been a passion project for our team here, dude. And I'm just happy it's out, dude. So if you are interested in left-hand path sort of stuff, into working with infernals, but more specifically, if you are looking towards spiritual empowerment and spiritual alchemy, the first half of this book is geared towards that. So there are plenty of meditations and rituals specifically geared towards that, dude. And then if you want to make shit happen, dude, we've got a fuck ton of spells and workings for, like, you know, lust, for wealth, prosperity, protection, hexes, curses, and some spirits and aspects in there. I love it. I love it. I'm very proud of what we've done.
Yeah. Anton, go ahead and tell the people what they can expect from that book.
So you can expect a plethora of transformation rituals and empowerment rituals with a lot of the Infernals' big names. A lot of them will provide extreme life-changing results, both externally and internally, and trials and tribulations through those processes. We have almost every category of spells in every school of magic you could think possible. We have curses, wealth magic, protection, and much more. Spirits and aspects, we also have undiscovered aspects of spirits, such as the vampiric aspect of Lucifer, a fusion of solar and vampiric energies.
Excellent, excellent. I'm definitely going to get my copy. So everyone out there, get your copy, and I'll have the link below in the video description. And everyone who's watching this Dark Sorcery YouTube channel, like and subscribe.